your toilet paper, your iPhone, your car. They all almost disappeared overnight, and it's about to happen again. In 2021, a single ship got stuck in a canal for 6 days and cost the global economy $10 billion per day. But here's what they're not telling you. That was just a warning shot. Right now, as you watch this, there are 47 critical choke points in the global supply chain, and 12 of them are one bad day away from total collapse. Think this doesn't affect you? Check your pantry. 90% of what's in there traveled through at least 3 countries before it reached your shelf. And the system holding it together? It's built on duct tape and prayer. The craziest part? Companies know the system is fragile. They've run the simulations. They've seen the models. And they're choosing profit margins over resilience anyway. Why? Because you're paying for it. Here's the dirty secret. Modern supply chains aren't designed to be strong, they're designed to be cheap. Every product you own took the longest, most complex route possible because it saved corporations 3 cents per unit. And there are 3 catastrophic weaknesses in this system that nobody's fixing. The third one? It's already been exploited twice this year, and you didn't even notice. Let me show you exactly how this house of cards actually works. To understand why everything breaks so easily, you need to see what happened to supply chains over the last 40 years. Because this wasn't always the case. In the 1980s, most products were made regionally. If you bought a car in Detroit, it was built in Michigan with parts from Ohio and Indiana. Then came globalization, and corporations discovered something magical. Labor in China cost 95% less than labor in America. So they didn't just move factories. They shattered production into 1,000 pieces scattered across the planet. Your smartphone? It contains parts from 43 different countries. The aluminum comes from Australia. The lithium from Chile. The assembly happens in China. The software in California. The packaging in Vietnam. Every single transfer point is a potential failure. A port strike in Rotterdam. A typhoon in the South China Sea. A trucker shortage in Texas. A power grid failure in Taiwan. Each one can stop the entire chain dead. And here's the thing. Companies used to keep backup inventory for exactly this reason. It was called just-in-case manufacturing. But in the 1990s, everyone fell in love with a Japanese concept called just-in-time manufacturing. The idea was brilliant on paper. Why pay to store inventory when you can have parts arrive exactly when you need them? Toyota did it. It worked. Everyone copied it. And they took it to an extreme Toyota never intended. Now, most factories keep less than 3 days of inventory on hand. Some operate on hours. Amazon's warehouses are designed for constant flow, not storage. When COVID hit, the entire system had zero buffer, zero margin for error. One hiccup and the whole machine seizes up. Remember trying to buy a webcam in 2020? 6-month wait times, not because they were complicated to make, because the supply chain had no slack. So that's the first catastrophic weakness, zero redundancy. Everything runs at maximum efficiency with minimum backup. It's like driving a car with no spare tire, no insurance, and the gas tank always on empty. Great when the road is smooth, suicide when it's not. But that's just the beginning. The second weakness? Geographic concentration. And this one's a ticking time bomb. See, when companies scattered production globally, they didn't spread it evenly. They created clusters, mega clusters. 90% of the world's advanced semiconductors come from Taiwan. Not some of them, 90%. If Taiwan's production stops, every computer, phone, car, and medical device on Earth stops advancing. 80% of pharmaceutical ingredients come from China and India. If those supply lines cut, hospitals run out of antibiotics in weeks. 60% of global shipping passes through just 5 choke points: the Suez Canal, the Panama Canal, the Strait of Hormuz, the Strait of Malacca, and the Bosphorus. That Ever Given ship that blocked the Suez, it held up $400 million in trade per hour. But here's what keeps supply chain experts up at night. These aren't random geographic accidents. They're deliberate strategic vulnerabilities. China controls rare earth minerals, 17 elements critical for everything from fighter jets to wind turbines. They produce 90% of global supply. In 2010, they cut exports to Japan during a political dispute. Prices spiked 1,000% overnight. They proved they could weaponize the supply chain whenever they wanted. And because everything connects to everything, one failure cascades. In 2021, a fire at a single chip factory in Japan halted global auto production. Ford, GM, Toyota all slowed down, not because they lost a factory, because they lost one supplier of one specific chip. The cost? $210 billion in lost revenue across the auto industry. One fire. Half the world's car production disrupted. You'd think after COVID, after the Suez Canal, after chip shortages, companies would fix this, right? Build backup suppliers. Diversify. Store inventory. But they haven't. Because of the third weakness, and this is the one that'll blow your mind, the system is designed to fail. Here's how it works. Public companies are judged every 90 days by their quarterly earnings. CEOs get fired for missing profit targets by 2%. So when a CFO looks at supply chains, they don't ask, is this resilient? They ask, is this cheap? Storing inventory costs money. Having backup suppliers costs money. Building regional factories costs money. And Wall Street punishes companies that spend money on what-ifs. The CEO who cuts costs by centralizing production in one country gets a bonus. The CEO who spends money on redundancy gets replaced. So even when executives know the system is fragile, they're incentivized to make it more fragile. It's not stupidity. It's the game they're forced to play. Short-term profits always beat long-term resilience. And we know this because it keeps happening. Remember baby formula in 2022? National shortage because 40% of U.S. supply came from one factory, and it shut down for contamination. One factory for an entire nation's babies. That's not bad luck, that's a choice. A choice made because running multiple factories costs more than running one. But here's the part they really don't want you to know. Those 2 times this year that the third weakness was exploited? Corporate sabotage. Not by hackers or terrorists, by competitors. Companies have started deliberately disrupting rival supply chains. A mysterious port delay that just happens to affect your competitor's shipment. A sudden quality inspection that holds up a rival's imports. It's supply chain warfare, and it's happening in the shadows. So what does this actually mean for you? It means unpredictability is the new normal. It means the products you rely on can vanish without warning. Prescription medications, car parts, electronics, even food. In 2023, there were 4,200 product shortages in the average American grocery store. That's not COVID, that's the baseline now. It means prices swing wildly. Lumber went from $400 to $1,700 and back to $500 in 18 months. Not because trees disappeared, because the supply chain spasmed. You paid the price, literally, and it means companies hold you hostage. When Sony can't make PlayStations because of chip shortages, they don't lower prices, they raise them. Scarcity becomes a profit opportunity, and the fragility is accelerating. Climate change is making those 5 shipping choke points less reliable. The Panama Canal had to restrict traffic in 2023 because of drought. It literally didn't have enough water. Geopolitical tensions are rising. China and Taiwan, Russia and Europe, the Middle East. Each conflict is one spark away from severing critical supply routes. The next major disruption isn't a question of if, It's when. And it'll be worse than COVID because companies learned the wrong lesson. They didn't build resilience. They just waited for governments to bail them out. They got stimulus money, loans, subsidies. So why would they change? The taxpayer absorbed the risk while they kept the profits. But here's what's starting to happen. Some companies are quietly reshoring, bringing production back home. It's called friendshoring, building supply chains in allied countries instead of the cheapest countries. Apple's moving some production to India and Vietnam. Intel's building chip fabs in America. It's slow. It's expensive, but it's happening. The question is whether it happens fast enough. Because the global supply chain isn't just fragile, it's on borrowed time. Every day it doesn't break is a day we got lucky, not a day the system got stronger, and eventually luck runs out. So the next time you can't find a product, or a price doubles overnight, or you hear about another shortage, remember, it's not a coincidence. It's not bad luck. It's a system working exactly as designed, maximum profit, minimum resilience, and you holding the bag when it breaks. The only question is, what are you going to do about it? Drop a comment below. Are you worried about the next shortage? Or do you think I'm exaggerating? I'll see you in the next one.